Sort of safe.
I showed you the picture. It's on Facebook, but yeah. Thank you.
Very good. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get this meeting called to order. It's 6:00 or seconds away. Can you please stand up for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Kale, could you go ahead and call roll?
Here.
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 Ruby Artis.
Here.
Scott Burke.
Here.
Sheridan. Yes. Here.
All right.
That's the last.
So I understand we have no changes to the agenda tonight, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, then let's move into the consent agenda item. Everybody get a chance to review that. We have a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
All right, it's been moved by Samantha, seconded by Ruby to accept the consent agenda. Any other discussion? Otherwise, let's see. Caleb, you call roll for all these here.
I can.
You
or,
can.
I mean, or you can.
Everyone be-
Samantha did, but I can also.
I'll go ahead and do around. Okay, I'll go left. Mike?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Ruby?
Aye.
Samantha?
Aye.
All right, motion passes 5-0. And we will proceed into presentations. We have one presentation tonight from SHS Leadership. So if you want to go ahead and come up and take a seat, make yourself comfortable in front of the mic there. And you can, first kind of meeting of the school year, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Tasha. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tasha, and I will be the designated SHS leadership student to provide a monthly presentation. As you may already be aware, the school year commenced on the 3rd, welcoming approximately 67 new freshmen who appear to be promising groups of students. Regarding our leadership class, our primary focus has been planning homecoming. The homecoming game will be against Vernonia High School. The dance is scheduled for October 11th in the new gym. We have introduced a heel restriction to maintain the floors in pristine condition. The theme this year is Alice in Wonderland, and the ticket prices have been set to a reasonable $7. The sales expect to begin at the start next week. The music program has delivered an impressive halftime performance and has participated in the last 2 football games. Additionally, the band concert is planned for October 24th in the cafeteria. The cheer program has attended the last 2 football games and the preceding scrimmage. They are selling merchandise themed around the games to raise funds for the upcoming competitions and nationals. The volleyball team has played 5 games this season and achieving 3 victories among that. So they're starting their season off pretty good. The soccer team has participated in 4 games. It's a little challenging of a start, but I think there's hope for a turnaround. And also we have 4 new girls coming down from Delphi today to join, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Football. The football team has recently broken their 23-game losing streak.
Yay.
And it has won 2 games in a row. They're starting off strong this season, and I'm looking forward to see the momentum continue. And this week's theme is camouflage. FFA will hold their chapter meeting October 7th. That is my report for the month. Do you have any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Tasha?
No, tell the football team they're doing awesome. It's really cool to read about them succeeding.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Great
you.
report. Good job. We'll see you next month. Okay. Next up, we have public input, and we have one person turned in with Molly Griffith. Go ahead and join us up front here.
Hello, Molly Griffith, Faulkner Chapman PTO Vice President. Just wanted to give you guys an update on what's going to be happening in the next couple of months. We have Harvest Festival on October 26th from 1 to 4 p.m. That's the last Saturday in October. Every week in October, we will have planning meetings for that, and we're going to need vendors and we're going to need volunteers. The more bodies we have, makes it much smoother. And those meetings are going to be 6 p.m. every Thursday in October. And the main item we wanted to fund with the Harvest Festival this year was the Purple Hand Pledge program for Faulkner Chapman. It's an anti-bullying program. And the cost for all of that is going to be $340 for the materials for the school. The PTO is going to be pursuing the Sheridan Community Development Grant. Hopefully that will fund that project. But if not, Harvest Festival will take care of it. Any questions about Harvest Fest or PTO? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any more public input? We're good. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and go to reports then. And Adam, looks like you are up first.
All right. No, it's following tough. Tough act. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna get my close-up copy. Excuse me. Yeah, so we obviously are back at it since I saw you in August. Just a quick summary of the last few weeks since the last meeting. We had a great in-service week. Dorian and I spoke the other day, and reflecting on it, it was really nice to have so many returning staff. It wasn't a massive training of new people this year, which was a change and very, very well liked, in my opinion. The big focus this year in service week was Power School, which is our new school informational system. We did some training along that. And when we continue, we actually have a follow-up one this Friday with our own staff as far as putting in grades and what the grade book would look like and the differences between that and our former SIS program. We rolled right into the first couple of weeks of school. The 3rd and 4th, we welcome kids back. We still continue to do that stagger where 7th and 8th graders actually start the second day of school. Gives 6th grade one day upstairs by themselves to kind of get used to the program. So far, we're midway through week 3. We are starting to roll into our curriculum. We're finishing up our district assessments last week and this week. There's been, with the rollover to the Power School program, there's just been a slight delay on making sure all the different programs are up and working because they all sync based off that informational system. But it really hasn't been too bad. Kale, and along with Nicole and a few folks up at FCS, have been working tirelessly to make sure all that's functioning. So we also had Meet the Teacher Night, which I realized I put that in the wrong order. Should have been up a little higher. This year we moved to one we actually had done years ago where we welcomed families and students in to meet their teachers and drop off supplies before school actually started. I polled the staff, and we normally had done an open house the last handful of years. That was pretty well received, and it was well attended at the elementary level in particular. Middle school, I think we still had around 20 to 25 families, but the vast majority were middle school students, as you might, or I'm sorry, elementary students, as you might guess. Other things in there. Oh, I did add a little portion that I updated right before Kale pulled this, but just letting folks know we did get the SNAP Ed grant. That's going to fund our cooking club that we did last year, some of our health educational groups in the classrooms that we did last year. That was a competitive grant that we were awarded again. So look forward to getting those things going this school year, along with our Friday enrichment programs and activities, which starts next week or the week after. Just have a couple of staff highlights up there that I thought were really cool to be able to share. We had the other day at our staff meeting, we're able to honor 3 classified staff who have recently completed some sort of schooling or degree or licensure. We had Erin, who, as you guys know, has been in health services room, kind of alongside our nurses. Last year, she actually completed her CNA program, and she is now a CNA. So we have her on staff full time, which is great. Both Melanie Lux and Anna Bolin completed associate's degrees, moving towards grow your own programs. We have multiple classified staff that are completing their grow your own teacher licensure programs. And you can see there, I mentioned Nicole. Nicole Mirabito has been at FCS for many years now. She is rapidly finishing the Grow Your Own program and will be a licensed teacher here soon. We've actually moved her into a certified role. So she currently will be teaching our middle school science that vacancy we've had that has been a struggle to fill for the last couple of years, as well as part-time doing TOSA, or teacher on special assignment role, where she's still coordinating all the data, which is a lot of what she was doing as a registrar. So it's great to kind of start to see our own staff move through that. And I think there are 4 total people on that program. So, and then there at the bottom, we just have some upcoming dates. The one I forgot, thankfully, Molly just brought up, which is the Harvest Festival, October 26th, that Saturday, before Halloween. So, and that's all I got. Any questions for me?
It's a busy month getting started.
Yeah.
Any incentive for the Grow Your Own program besides obviously we're helping them with their education costs, but like Nicole's the first one potentially to go through it.
Yeah. So best way to phrase this, yes and no. There is, through their union, the classified union, they do help sponsor and pay for a good portion of those classes. So if they're working classified staff, part of a good portion of the college, I think, is a reduced rate. And then, I don't know, Dory, would you want to speak a little more on?
There's tuition reimbursement. And part of it is just having conversation with our classified employees that are interested in going into teaching. And then how do we support them? We also have the Regional Educator Network, which is I guess it is statewide, but they provide us with support staff for the Grow Your Own. So if there are barriers to registering for classes or going to TSPC and applying for your license, they help with that. And then we're seeking additional funding through that REN to help cover the costs of some of the things that we're doing. But these 3 are pretty motivated. A couple of them started taking classes when I arrived and have just been working. I mean, they work full time, have very busy lives, and they're taking courses. And so we just keep encouraging them, and they help, and I think, support each other through the process. And it was pretty exciting to offer Nicole a teaching position.
Yeah, Nicole's great.
Yeah.
I'm thinking too that maybe we can celebrate them somehow, and I'm sure you would on a teacher level, but maybe community-wide,
That'd be great.
like really promote it.
Yeah, I think
Especially
it'd be
since how
fantastic.
well-known all those people are in our community.
Big time.
Well, and that's certainly the benefit for the district is we want to continue to have our staff live and participate in the community of Sheridan rather than commuting in. And there's a great strength in Nicole knowing so many families of the benefit of that for our students.
Yeah.
So that's a great idea. Thank you.
Think of those graduation banners that we put up on the lamppost for the kids.
Yeah. Right? Wouldn't that be awesome?
We got to get the parade of graduates that we do at the end of the year.
That'd be super cool. Yeah. You made it. Grow your own.
Do we also have classroom size data yet that we can see? I noticed that wasn't in the board packet this time. But
Yeah, I could email that over to you. Right now, our only large grade level or group is first grade, where we had moved to 2 teachers, and we're talking about if, when, and how we can remedy that. All other elementary are at 3 per grade, so I want to say the average is anywhere from 17 to 22. We've seen a little bit of an uptick in enrollment, but the 10-day drops haven't fully settled in yet either, so that might wash itself out a little bit. And middle school classes, if I remember off the top of my head, I think middle school is up roughly 5 to 8 kids. But with our mobility rate, I think we've had 2 new middle schoolers in the last week anyways. So that's always kind of in flux. But yeah, I could email over maybe student to teacher ratios of each of those marks. It'd be helpful.
Well, and Kale can pull that for K-12.
okay, I think my biggest concern was that first grade class. It's out in the community now that people know that that's two very large classes.
Mhm.
So I was just curious what our district plan was, if we're hiring a third teacher, if we're not hiring a third teacher.
We've posted the position.
Because I know that was a late withdrawal, right? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, notice wise. So,
Right.
Yeah, last
Last night
I believe,
it posted.
we posted a first
Okay,
grade position.
so the search is on.
The search is on.
Good to know.
We're working on it.
Mhm. Should have some updates there soon.
Perfect.
Anything else?
All right. Thanks, Adam. Okay, next we have Dory with the
All right.
superintendent PowerPoint.
Good evening and welcome to September. All right, I want to start with doing a review for the board of scorecards. This is our work with Brent Brummett with Student Education. He came in during in-service week and worked with the district leadership team on development of a scorecard. And I created this document because I didn't actually have the scorecard until Monday, but I wanted to give you an overview of what this looks like. So, we have our 3 pillars, and under each pillar, we have those 5-year goals. You've seen the strategic plan. That makes up the strategic plan. Then what we do is we create an annual measure, and actually the table is much, much easier to read. So we have successful students. We have a 5-year goal that we're going to increase the number of students who are college or career ready. And then we have an annual goal for this year, increase the graduation rate from blank to blank. Now, the graduation rate data is going to be coming public here in the next month. So we're going to plug that in and then look, okay, how can we increase that and what does that goal look like? So then we'll complete that out. And then we have what's called progress monitoring. So the high school will produce a progress report twice a year on the graduation rate. How are we doing on students being on track to graduate? And then strategic actions, and this again is just an example. There are several strategic actions. The high school will track the number of students who are on track to graduate. So for the last couple of years, we've been using what's called a credit tracker. And when we met with Brent, we really started thinking about, as a DLT, what are the things that we were already doing that fits in here as strategic action. So we're not completely saying, oh, we're going to scrap everything that we did last year and start over. So we're using that tracker. And then Brent will be back to work with us mid-year and including our board retreat. But the full scorecard, which we're going to go over and review at our board work session in October, has all of these filled out so that we have the annual goals, progress monitoring, and strategic action. So there's several annual goals within each pillar. So for community engagement, we have annual goals. And then we continue to progress that. And then what we create is called a stoplight report, where we take our strategic actions and we say, okay, this has started. It goes to yellow. It's done. It's green. If we haven't even started it yet, it's red. And so the board is going to be receiving stoplight reports periodically. So this is actually taking all the work we did last year with Suter and developing our strategic plan and making it actionable 1 year at a time as we work towards those 5-year goals. So we're going to go more in depth at our October board work session. And I will go over the scorecard with you. But I just wanted to highlight that. This was important work that Brent did. It was about a 3-hour meeting with our DLT to come up with our annual goals, our progress monitoring steps, and our strategic action. So it was very, very productive and beneficial. And I think it's really helpful too that our staff see that we don't have a strategic plan that just sits on a shelf, that we continue to bring this back. We are reviewing it, and now we have 1-year goals. All right, then Monday, we had our long-range facility plan meeting. We do have the items into 3 tiers, and then we use the prioritization criteria of safety and security, improved learning environment, infrastructure and maintenance, and community. When we finished up Monday night, there was someone from the committee is going to be presenting the long-range facility plan to the board at our October board meeting for approval. I believe it's going to be Molly. And then we will, once we have that plan approved, we will submit it to the state. And then that qualifies us for the Awesome Grant. And we did this in 3 meetings with a lot of the work on the facilities assessment with teams going through the facilities, and then also looking at growth rate, and then how well are our classrooms set up to instruct students. So all that data was compiled into this process. So here's an example of some of the tiered items you're going to see on the plan. I just pulled a few of them. Some of these look very familiar because it's things that we've talked about for 3 years now that we really need to complete. And when we finished things up, we were having some very in-depth conversation about which things we might want to move to tier 1 or to tier 2, and to go through all that. I have asked Brick and OTAC. Mike had a great idea that we have the board receive the long-range facility plan in very early October so that you have time to go over it before the board meeting. So I think I asked for October 1st. And they thought they could have it all compiled and ready for the board to review. So you'll have plenty of time. All right, September enrollment. So the 10-day mark in public schools, there's if a student is consecutively not attending for 10 days, they are dropped. So when we start the school year, we're taking attendance, of course, every day. Today was day 10. We would not have had the data in time to report to the board. So there will be another enrollment report in October. Kale, when did you pull this data? Was it last Thursday? So as we were preparing for this board meeting, Kale went into our student information system, and these are the numbers of the students enrolled. And you see the increase in our K-5 enrollment. Definitely a bigger kindergarten class. And then our middle school numbers, we had an increase in middle school from 156 to 173. And then the high school has dropped. And if you remember that they do have decreasing enrollment, Pat had a great presentation where he showed the trend over the last several years that we start in, I think 1 year we started as high as 228, and by the end of the year we were down to 205. So we did graduate a very, very small class, and then we have the 47 ninth graders coming in. So then our total enrollment is to be up by about 33 kids. Yes.
I'm just looking at the high school, and it looks like we've lost at least 10 people from each grade from last year before the 10-day even ready.
We've got exactly double the amount of seniors from last year.
Yeah.
It's a big senior class. Yes. And like I said, we'll have another update, and we can also show class size data.
Is this where you start chasing down the kids who didn't re-enroll somewhere else
Yes.
and they're still in our system?
Because the process is that we get a records request from where they have registered. If they haven't registered anywhere, then we still try to track them down. And that occasionally happens. And some students can have significant gaps in learning. And sometimes school districts get backlogged with that process. And I've walked into a registrar's office before in another district, and there's a whole pile of CUME files to be mailed out. So we're waiting to hear that. But we are trying to track down and call parents and find out who has officially left the district.
Does that include online schools as well?
SHAPA does their own.
But do they inform us?
Yes, they give our data, they give their enrollment data to Kale, so we can also report on their enrollment.
How about like Connect Oregon or whatever that was?
So we get reports when, from other charter schools, because there's a cap that we can only release so many. We can cap the number of students that leave to go to other charter schools outside of our own.
So you get those beforehand?
Yes.
School starts?
We get the notice, yes. We've had, I think, less than 5 that I'm aware of, because they come to me and then I send them to Kale.
Because if they weren't going to charter school, and if you can't track them down, they apparently didn't move out of state. Or
Right.
maybe they did move out of state.
And some decide to homeschool, but then you need to register with the Willamette Education Service District. And we'll be getting our homeschool data soon.
What if they don't do that?
If they don't do that, we can continue to track them down and do a report to DHS, but there's not much else we can do. Yeah, good question. All right. An update on Barbara Roberts. We are in the process of making the plans to demo the building. There's an early work agreement that will come to the board, I believe at the October meeting, that will set in motion to open for bids. And then Trevor with Bremick explained that as we start to prepare, they will do a job walk on the site and then open the bidders. And then once we have all the permits, which they're starting to work on the permitting with the city, we'll have a better idea of when. So it just depends on how long that all takes. We're looking at early November at this point in time. If by chance the early work agreement is available before the next board meeting, we may set it up on our October work session to do a very brief special board meeting to approve that, so that the board, so that Bremick can get going. So I will keep the board informed on that. Fundraising side, just look left, they've been very, very busy. Ford Family Foundation, they're preparing for submission. We are waiting results on Future Ready Oregon. Nehemiah, we are awaiting the results. And then the Oregon Community Foundation, we have another grant in there. They are also looking at Energy Trust of Oregon and Business Oregon. And they have a whole list of other grants that they are researching. All right, and then just a couple of reminders. One here I put in a slide is that some of us will be touring FCI. If you are interested in touring, I have the forms here tonight, and I would like to have them filled out and handed to Mike, and then he will submit them to the warden, I believe, or executive assistant, and then get us all cleared so that we can get our tour scheduled. And then the other announcement that I have is that this Sunday is the Sheridan Fire District Pancake Breakfast that starts at 7 a.m. And this is a big community event. I'll be over there volunteering, and I encourage all of you to attend. Questions or comments on this report?
I have a question. I like to have a little clarification that you put in the bulletin. And it stated, generally speaking, many people do not understand how different it is to teach 18 to 30 students. Is that we're averaging in a classroom, or how did you frame that? Because it's on a 4-day work week.
I'd have to take a look at the article. Because I write those every other week. Okay. That's not going to help me, Larry.
I know, but you want.
I need to
can
read
give
it to
to
see
you.
the context.
I mean, I'm not
sorry.
I'm not trying to get critical. I just
Yeah.
I'm thinking we need to clarify.
Yeah. Good to clarify it. Okay, so there was comments made about, public comments about the 4-day calendar. And, okay, so what I was saying is to teach 18 to 30 students. So that's roughly our class size. Some class sizes go as big as 30. We have as low as 15, somewhere in there. But what I was trying to communicate was that part of our time on Friday is for teachers to be able to prepare to teach that number of young people in their classrooms. So to prepare lesson plans, assess grading, work with other teachers. It takes a lot a lot of work just to prepare to teach that many people in one classroom with all their differences. That's what I was getting at.
Okay, because I read that and going, this don't sound right here.
Okay.
No, I wonder if
Question,
in the future, like, forgive me, I don't read all of those. I don't get it. Maybe you've done this before, but what if you did a report in there at one point, like saying, this is what a Friday looks like for our teachers, our staff, and like break it down and show how much training they're doing, how much prepping they're doing, how much working with their peers they're doing. Cause then maybe people will see the value in it a little more.
Yes.
And it's not just a free day.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think I went on to say that, when I first started teaching, I was told if you can teach one really well-developed lesson a day, you're doing really well. I mean, that was the bar when I first started teaching 3rd grade. And I'm guessing I had 25 students. But the general public also forgets that when you have those 25 students, you may have 10 that are significantly below grade level. You could have 5 that are 3 years above grade level, and you're trying to meet all of their needs, not to mention all the social emotional. So I just encourage our teachers. They work incredibly hard. And we are working to structure our Fridays so that they have 2 hours to really prepare well for the next week.
I just didn't want people to think that,
What is she talking about? Yeah,
Right.
thank you.
What kind of class would we have that has 30 people in it?
It could be PE.
Okay,
We'd love to have choir and bands that big.
it's true.
We're getting there. But it's generally those kind of classes. It's really a benefit to have more.
That's a really good idea, though. Like a day in the life on a Friday.
Yeah.
Or even just put something together. And then we could all know to talk about it too. We know all the logistics of it. Or like what we know we're doing, but what it really looks like. Okay. Any other questions or comments for Dory? Anybody? Thanks for getting us that long range plan. I was going to ask if we could have that before the meeting in the packet. So October 1st is great.
Yeah.
It's just a big
Thank
report.
Mike, his idea.
Thanks,
It's like,
Mike. Good idea.
I should do one, vote no on it, but.
Okay. Next up, then we have facilities. Sean, you're up.
So it's been a year now, and we're getting a grasp on some things. We're trying to get some things under control. We're all finally up to compliance on fire and life safety inspections, elevator inspections that I never even knew existed. But we're up to compliance. The fire alarm control panel in the old gym is complete. It works very well and communicates with the main board in the school. So, we can actually have real fire drills again.
We're getting fancy.
And then the IPM plan hasn't changed except for whose name is on the front of it, and that'll be mine if you approve it. Last July we put the river pump in, and once again it finally failed for good. So we had worked with Saffron there, and they designed a whole new sled and a new pump. And one of the big things was we didn't have any fish screen on there. And reading into that, apparently that's a federal requirement. And I had them add a 777 three-phase current and voltage monitor, which has already saved us. We had a short in the wiring today leading down to the river. It sensed it, shut the pump down before it burnt the pump up. So it already paid for itself.
Thank you.
And so Saffron assures us that we shouldn't have to pull this and service it every year. It should be good for 8 to 10 years as is. And then Mr. Poole was kind enough to allow us to use a portion of his water rights again this year, just in case we got regulated off. And then we purchased Safer Watch through an ODE startup, which is a wireless panic alarm system. You can call medical, police. There's some non-emergency stuff in there that you can use in-house if a staff member needs help, and then it can give you an approximate location of that staff member so that people can respond. And then we're trying to get it, we've got a pretty good grasp on all the HVAC and FCS, I think. And going forward, Richard's Refrigeration is going to do a biannual inspection and service of every unit up there so that maybe our problems aren't so emergent. You know, we can get ahead of them a little bit. And then, yeah, we just continue to fight the leaks at FCS. We're to the point where we're going to have to pull metal in order to figure out what's wrong with it. It's just the same darn ones in the same darn place.
What room is that in? And which
One of the first rooms to the left, as you head down.
Miss Heston's room.
If you look at the front of the school, it's right along that wall that runs up the.
So is it the one with the lab in it?
No.
No, downstairs.
To the left of the bench. It's right where that wall.
It seems like all the other leaks were fixed, but this one is persistent. And we've had Tremco out several times. We had Tremco fly guys out, and we flooded the roof trying to track this leak. And every time we think we've got it, Wendy calls and says, it's leaking again.
So the second floor, the upstairs, the leaks up there are controlled.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the lab that we went in. It was the downstairs classroom.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was
Oh,
Mhm.
all
That we
that
went in.
mechanical roof. They sealed all those penetrations before I started. I think
So it-
WTI.
it's coming, it's finding a trade,
It's somewhere along
trail.
the wall,
right?
Yeah.
you know, that runs up.
That
along
weird
the
wall
mechanical
that's there
roof.
to really
Yeah.
hide everything.
What if it isn't the roof and it's just the wall itself?
Well, and that's what he's wondering, but he's got to open it up and see how it's flashed. You know, he can't tell until he starts opening it.
Is that covered under the original payment that we gave to Trimco, or is this outside of that?
No,
'Cause they
this is
guaranteed
outside
us
of
that
it.
they were gonna
Yeah,
fix the problem.
we've tracked it and nailed it down to that area.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't touch that area to begin with. It was all about the mechanical up there and leaking all the screws they put on that flat roof.
It'll be a new contract if we have them open it up. That's too bad.
It's not like you're gonna have to take the whole roof.
Well, it's an interlocking roof. And so you might get lucky and get a centerpiece off, but typically you have to start on the end.
Well, yeah, but which end do you start on?
It's right in the middle.
I need to see it.
Well, if it's on the wall side, it would be on the end, pretty much, wouldn't it be?
Well, it depends on what they discover behind the wall, you know, and where the wall marries the roof. And how is it flashed under there? Does that roof panel need to come up? And they need to reflash everything.
Right.
So,
So they'll get you a bid on that and you'll go from there, or what's the next steps?
yeah, Tremco's working with WTI on getting us an estimate because they don't know what, they don't know what's in there.
Mhm. Yeah, it's embarrassing when the public asks about our leaky roof.
Yes.
And I feel bad for the kids in that classroom. And the teachers.
Yeah. Adam and I are working on that.
Maybe a woman could fix it.
Is that coming up pretty quickly, like before it starts really raining this year?
No, I don't know that we'll be able to afford it
Yeah.
without a bond. It's going to be a good job.
So that's the only leaky classroom in the school building right now.
For now.
Okay. So does that teacher have to remain in that classroom or
And that's what Adam and I are kind of trying to figure out.
I'm just wondering if we could find a new room and close the door and
That's what
not forget about the problem, but
Right.
not let kids get dripped on.
Yeah.
Put
And
buckets
in
everywhere.
this particular classrooms, there's so much stuff in there because of all the things that she does, and it's hard to work with it with all that stuff in there. And I'm thinking if we get that out, we could still use the space, but all that stuff makes it much more difficult.
I have a question about the Safer Watch and what that looks like on a classroom level.
Yeah, the teachers will have the ability, and that was the whole point of the ODE grant, was to provide every teacher the ability to hit the wireless panic alarm, which will notify YCOM.
Mhm.
And I think all but one school in Yamhill County is currently implementing this company. That's kind of why we just stuck with them.
Yeah. And is that like something they wear, like a lanyard? Is it on their desk?
No,
What-
it'll be.
It's on their phone, so they have to log in and hit it, or,
Just opens up.
So it'll look like that.
okay, and then they hit the
You get
appropriate thing.
EMS and all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you run drills to like practice that, or,
Not that one, because
because it'll trigger everything?
Yes.
So, yeah,
And they have the in-house, staff assists and,
Uh-huh.
so like Lacey or Sarah, we can do the hold or the secure, the shelter, evacuate through this, and it'll notify everybody.
All at once?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a good idea.
We just started training admin on Friday.
Yeah.
So we're just getting it started. We just got access. And in fact, our trainer said, okay, you can push that button, but don't hold it down. If you hold it down too long, you will send for emergency.
Mhm.
You'll be calling
Yeah.
911.
And this is all loosely based around Alyssa's law back east, and I think 6 or 7 states have implemented it. But I look at the legislature, it's on cue for this year, and they're probably going to pass it. So we just will use the grant while we have it.
It's always good to invest in safety.
Mhm. And it only works within, it's geo-designed, so it only works when you're on district property.
Oh, good.
And then you're able to communicate, it's been resolved.
Well,
So-
you can be off property and get the alert. So if Adam issues a hold and there's a medical incident and
Okay.
teachers returning know not to go in the building, or if there's a shooter or an emergency, they know to stay out.
Mhm.
But I don't think they can activate it unless they're within the geo fence.
Makes sense. So nobody accidentally activates it.
Yeah.
Pretty high tech.
Like, I'm only for FCS, so right now I'm too far away. I can see if something happens, but I can't call for alert.
Because this isn't your area.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Does that directly notify YCOM, or is it like, it
Yeah.
calls the company and?
It's all in, they've worked with YCOM,
What if
everything's
he's here
integrated
doing
with them.
something and something happens?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, because it was like, at first, because the grant will pay for the startup cost. And I always balk at the subscription, I don't want to be stuck with a subscription, but if we don't do it now and then make it law
Maybe I'll
next
just ask the
spring,
question.
then we're gonna be eating that money to start it up anyway.
Yeah.
Sean, I have a question. So what if like Dory that travels between the two
Like
locations?
Dory and I and Kale. and
Oh, you all
those of
have
us
like
that-
multi-site access? Oh, okay. I'm just curious.
I got a question, but it's not regarding that. I want to go back to the pump.
Sure.
So it's a new pump. You leaving that in there in the wintertime?
No,
as
we're
well?
gonna pull it in the winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm thinking you want to leave it in there. If a tree hits it.
No, there's too much copper in it.
What's the status on the easement, if you even have one?
Well, last I spoke with the attorney, they were trying to set up a time for Mr. Wenger and his attorney to meet us down there and discuss options.
At least that's something.
It's something, yeah. But
We can try to get an update by our October meeting. See
Yeah,
if
that
we
would be
have anything
nice.
else.
I have an IPM question.
Sure.
My understanding is we have a rodent problem inside the school
We do?
in the shop ag class, the one that wasn't occupied.
In the high
Last year.
school?
Yeah.
Nobody said a word to me.
And the new teacher said it to me and I said, well, you should probably let Sean know.
Yeah, yeah. I
She said
speak
she
with
told
her
someone, I'm not
frequently.
sure, maybe she told Pat, somebody got told. Anyhow, I was just curious if you were aware of that and if it was getting taken care of.
No, but it will be.
Okay, perfect. And then I had some concerns, we have more potholes showing up, and I know that we're hoping for a bond to redo everything. I was just curious if you had a short-term plan to fix those.
Well, Greg and I were talking about it. We're gonna ask the city to come out and scope
Whatever.
Scope that catch basin that's in that parking lot, because if it's collapsed or plugged, or if it's leaking, it could
That
be
could be
creating a
problems.
sinkhole under it. So
Okay,
we'll see if the city would be willing to. If not, we'll have to pay Mr. Reuter to come scope it.
okay. So obviously everyone's aware of those
Yes.
potholes. And then I noticed there's some dead plants out front of the high school, weeds, things like that, just like general appearance stuff. I didn't bug you about them last year because I knew you were just getting started, but I think outside appearance can really reflect inside thoughts and feelings about the way that the conditions are. And I was just curious what the plan was to take care of those.
I agree. This summer we were limited on staff, and I got a price for renting a dump trailer and getting new bark, stuff like that a week or so ago, I think.
I have a dump trailer you could borrow.
I would love to.
I also thought about a volunteer workday, and if you've considered having a volunteer workday, I feel like the cleanup days have a lot of traction here. Maybe we could get a lot of people to come in and help pull weeds and put new bark down and
Sure,
plant some
That'd
new
be
plants
fun.
if you had them.
that'd be great.
I bet they could get a lot of work done in 2 or 3 hours.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, and that would take the workload off of you guys. You would just
Yeah.
be here directing it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I just thought that would be a great idea, so. That way we're invested in our school.
Agreed.
Thank you.
It's a lot of work directing those two, but we got to you start small with that and get more people coming and then more projects.
Could something like that be a senior project, like to organize a
Oh,
school cleanup day or something?
That would be a good senior project. We have a big senior class and they're looking for projects.
Found one.
do they want to help the Sheridan Tree of Giving?
Uh-huh.
So,
There you go.
Yep.
We sit here long enough, we'll find something for everyone.
Okay, any more questions for Sean? Anybody? All right,
thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
all right, the fiscal report is in everyone's packet. If you've had a chance to review,
We open that.
take a look at that. If anybody has any questions for Karen.
Yes, I really don't have anything to report. I've been working on, I've got September's the first big payroll with all, new people, and open enrollment just closed. And it was a passive enrollment this year, so that means you didn't have to go in and make any changes if you didn't have to log in if you didn't have any changes you wanted to make. So it makes it kind of nice, but I still have to go in and update everybody's deduction stuff. So just been working on that. We had an interesting thing with the bank. Someone was like ACHing, like debiting, like cable payments out of our bank account. And it happened, like there was one on Thursday and then there was like 3 on a Monday. And it was the weirdest thing. They were just these random amounts, but it was less than $1,000. So it was, I don't know, not worth it for people. I don't know. But I worked with the bank and they, gave us back our money and they locked it down. But it was just
a weird, I honestly, truly think that someone at the company keyed in a wrong number and just, these were just coming out of our account. So,
Was it Comcast cable?
yes,
I had the same problem with it.
no way.
Comcast cable out of Houston, yeah.
Yeah,
A couple charges, and then a couple more charges until we locked it down.
huh.
Yeah. Interesting.
Might be the new phishing scheme or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It was so, and it, like I said, they were small amounts, but I was just afraid I was gonna come in and there'd be like, oh, $500,000 gone or something, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you get-
talk about that after. Yeah.
That might be a small amount to you, but it came out of my checking
That's
account.
also
That'd
true.
be
That is also
very
true.
big.
I was thinking if it was like a fraud thing, you'd think they'd go for like, 9,999 or something like that, but
The least amount of money they could take. for a
There's
month.
some noticeable.
anyway,
Okay.
that was a distraction I really didn't need, but.
Anybody any questions? We good with fiscal? And we'll move into unfinished business. Okay, so the first thing on the business is the OSBA Fall Conference. I believe we all got emails about that, or you might have got some physical mail. Did anybody get information about that one yet? I don't have that one in front of me, but I think we saw some dates out there. Let's see if I can.
It was the 7th, 8th,
November,
or
first
9th
week in
of November or
usually.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
They had you could go in there and look at the agenda, what they're giving you this coming year. So you could watch to see that as well. I don't remember October the 14th, and you need to have everything in there then, or something to that effect.
Is anybody planning on going to that, or is there any interest in going to that one?
I'll be out of the country.
All right, that's a hard no.
You can zoom in.
Can you in on weekend?
Oh, November 7th.
And we don't have to
is that
decide
right?
now. I know last year, a couple of us went up and did a day trip, like on a Saturday. There's business on Friday and there's business on Sunday, but if you're gonna pick a day, usually Saturday's the highlight, so I might go up and do that if anybody's interested in carpooling up for a day.
Friday, they have the general meeting on that day, assembly meeting, I think. Sunday, they don't have nothing. They just have breakfast and then they close, and that's it compared to what they
But
used
this
to
is
have.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So is
Thursday
there a
is more,
Sunday?
Thursday's
just the evening, right?
administration, where Kale should be going to. and
Is there
Dory
much
goes
of the
to.
small school stuff going on?
What's that?
Is there much of the small school stuff going on?
There is a small school conference. They got a small school rule breakfast going on, like they always have. And I'm sure that the small school caucus will be there too, which if anybody goes up there, they should go to that because they are interesting because they are helping us.
This is Thursday's a full day.
It's mostly registration.
It's a registration session, convention.
Primary, I think it's like for.
Let's see. There's an admin one, convention day one Friday.
So it's Thursday is probably the pre-conference.
Yeah.
There's some
Right.
topics there. I'm curious if they have anything for students.
They did
Like
last
some
year. They
board
had some
members.
really good ones last year.
Interested in going to a conference.
Oregon Rural School Board Members Caucus on
Yeah, the
Friday.
caucus is Friday morning, small schools, yeah.
Okay. So maybe look at Friday morning for the small school caucus or going up for Friday. We can talk about it.
Okay, so if the deadline is the 14th, that's before our next meeting. So if we need to go, you want us to email, should we be committing to that? Email you and Kel if we want to go and what days we want to go.
Okay.
I'll check the calendar.
We will organize that one over email. Okay, and then the other option or the other item here for unfinished business, the May 2025 bond is on there. It basically, do you want to talk about that one? Yeah. go for it.
Just some direction of, because I think Mike had brought up at our last meeting that, hey, we need to start talking about this now if we're going to go for it in May. Our board work session in October is going to be part MOU, and then we can make it part talking about the bond, because you will have just received the long-range facility plan. You could bring the plan with. We could start talking there and strategizing on what we want to do and who do we need to have help us. And by that time, I can also research the cost of having an organization help us with the marketing and see specifically what the WESD could do for us. So I just needed some feedback if you would like that as a topic for the October work session. And then how are we going to want to move forward from there?
I say yes.
Okay.
Sooner the better. Are we doing the Grand Ronde in October? Is that a work session?
It's right. So the MOU, and I sent it out in an email,
Mhm.
that's half of the time.
Okay.
I don't think I think it's a 6-page MOU. So I don't think it's going to take long depending upon the depth of questions that the board has. And then that would, if we go for language changes or whatever, but then the other part of the work session can be to talk about, all right, what do we want the next few weeks and months to look like for the bond? And really map that out. That's the direction we need. Then I'll be prepared with costs of finding out who could do the marketing and help us out. And have more details there, and including updates from OSBA. Okay.
Sounds like head nods and yeses for that one. October.
Okay.
October work session, we'll split it in half. Hopefully that's enough time. I don't want to short Grand Ronde because we're kind of in there before this, but if they go long, we'll do what we can.
Just
Talk about the bond. Okay.
Mhm.
That makes sense. Okay, anything else on that item? Anybody? Or we'll talk in October. Okay, next section, action items. You have in your packets the IPM plan, Integrated Pest Management Plan, 29 pages of pest management.
I
We all
have,
read last year, I'm sure we all remember. Yeah.
I think there's a change that needs to be made, but I wasn't sure if that happens right now.
What?
There was a name in there that I think should, but I could be wrong. Let me see. Hold on. Is it Greg?
So Greg
Okay.
was the IPM. Sean should also be listed on this copy.
So it just says, he's on the front, but in section 4, it says the Sheridan School Board designates Greg Goodman as the IPN plan coordinator. So I
Okay,
figured,
what page are you seeing that? on?
6 or 7, hold on, I'm too zoomed in. Six, bottom of 6.
All right.
Good catch. Nope, that needs to say Sean Vesper.
Okay, because I saw it on the front and I was like, I'm pretty sure maybe that should be changed.
Mhm. Yeah, so section 4, school district IPM plan coordinator, it should read Sean Goodman. I mean, take off Sean Goodman. Oh my goodness. Take off Greg Goodman and
We'll
have
make
it
it
be
one person.
Sean Vesper as the IPM plan coordinator.
Okay, so we can have a motion that said accept the plan with the corrections from Greg and Sean, would be okay. All right, do we have a motion?
I motion to accept the plan with the correction, the name correction.
Second it.
Okay, you have a motion from Ruby and a second from Samantha. Is there any other discussion on this item? If we get a chance to read it, look through it. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. I'll do it. Samantha?
Aye.
Ruby?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Mike? And I'm an aye. Pest management passes 5-0. Okay, at this point, we are going to move out of the regular meeting and move into executive session under ORS 192.662I to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing. So let's take a second to clear the room. Those that are stand up.
Student leaves.
No, not for executive session. They can leave.
Yeah.
Hang on 2 minutes, I'm gonna go grab my red. Are we back live?
Looks like it.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any topics for next meeting that we want to talk about?
I have one. How come we don't have a trainer for the football team or any of the sporting team? We had Amy that was here for 22 years, I think. That was always a trainer on the sidelines. And I knows that Jefferson game, the kid broke his arm. We had to rely on the fire department to help him. And, you know, there's 4 colleges in the area that I think teach sports medicine. If we could get a student intern to come out into the games or something.
Yeah, we actually have looked at that option and it doesn't satisfy the requirement. Our cheer coach actually is, I believe, certified to fill that role. And then we're talking with like our district nurse. But that was a great volunteer situation that the district had for years. And
Yeah.
for this fall, we have just struggled to
I
find.
didn't know she got a stipend or, you know, kickback.
She volunteered. Yeah, so, okay, good point.
Just wondering about that.
Mhm.
Volleyball tomorrow night. Football Friday night.
Okay. Any other topics? Next meeting, anybody? Okay. Board comments, then I'll go around. Anything, Larry, anything?
None.
I wanted to say that the Sheridan Tree of Giving will open for applications October 1st through November 1st. And my goal is to send the link to Dory so that she can send it out to all the families in our district.
October 1st to November 1st.
I know. So Sheridan, Christmas Smiles Inc. will also open applications October 1st, and they also serve all of Yamhill County, children 0 to 15. So if they get served by them, we'll cover the older teenagers, or they can be covered by us fully.
Very good. All right. Samantha?
I got nothing.
Okay, then the next thing we have up is the work session, October 2nd, and I think we all have that agreement from your email.
Yes.
We have that to review for that meeting.
Mhm.
Okay, and you'll let us know if we're gonna have that.
A special meeting.
board meeting then, yeah. Okay, if that's all we got tonight, then I will declare us adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have applications here for background check for FCI.